Hello and welcome to the Easy Odds Premier League preview. It's the one you've all been waiting for.
Yep.
We've done the Championship one a few weeks ago, and now it's the big boys, the
big
Premier
boys.
League. 20 teams. Ross is going to go through every single team and give a tip for each team.
Yeah.
What he thinks they're going to do, how well they're going to do. Are Man City going to win? Are Man United going to get relegated?
It can happen.
Just tips like that kind of thing.
Yeah, I'll briefly run through my view on the season coming up for each of the 20 teams with their best price for the outright winner market, because as we learned from last season, any team can win the Premier League.
They can.
And I'll also offer my quick view on what you should be betting on that team. So let's start with the favourites, which are Manchester City this year. Best price 5-2 in the outright winner market. Pep Guardiola arrives at the Etihad Stadium. Obviously, he arrives with plenty of pedigree, an air of dominance about him after his amazing managerial performances at both Barcelona and Bayern Munich. However, he's had a pretty quiet pre-season. He's only really brought in Ilkay Gundogan so far from
Good signing, though.
his former rivals Dortmund. A good signing, but a lot of injury worries about him. He didn't play that many games over the last 2 years, so they may have to play Fabian Delph one too many times, which is never a good thing.
I heard they're putting him at centre back, Fabian Delph, trying to train him to
Really?
be centre back. Yeah.
Well, there you go. Obviously, they have been linked with John Stones, and I do believe that will be a great signing. I really like John Stones. There are questions over Joe Hart though after a terrible 2016 Euro 2016 tournament. Vincent Kompany, more questions over his fitness. Every time that he starts a game, he seems to signal to the sideline that he can't finish the game. But they have got pluses, and the main one for me is the fact that Sergio Aguero has retired from international football. No more long haul flights to Argentina for their matches in the likes of the Copa America, and for that reason, I actually think that backing him to be top scorer is the best bet for Man City. I don't think that they're going to win the league, but I do think that Aguero is going to have a really good season because of the fact that he is only playing club football from this season moving forward. 7-2 best price, a better price on Aguero to finish top scorer than Man City to win the league. I would suggest taking that Aguero top scorer bet.
That's a good price, and that's a good reason as well, because obviously he gets injured a lot.
Yeah.
I mean that will hopefully.
Yep.
His injury problems would be a little bit less.
Absolutely.
When you consider he's going to be playing less games. So.
Yeah. So yeah, that's my tip for Man City. Sergio Aguero top scorer. Moving on to Man United, a bigger price now, 7-2. But what a difference a manager makes. If Louis van Gaal was still manager, I guarantee you that 7-2 would not be the price.
No.
The Mourinho effect has already begun with the bookies making Man United second favourites. I can see why they've put Mourinho in charge. He's got proven quality. Obviously last season was a write-off for him. Not entirely sure what happened there, but it was pretty important that Chelsea got rid of him, because if he'd have stayed in the hot seat there, I'm almost certain that they might have got relegated, because he was just poison there come the end. But it's been a positive appointment for Manchester United, absolutely, because they've brought in the likes of Ibrahimovic, Mkhitaryan, Bailey, and they're obviously really close apparently to signing Pogba for a multi-million-pound deal. So I can understand why they are second favourites, but they're going to have to bet in these players. Rumour has it that the money won't be stopping there either. So I do think that they're going to have some formidable attacking talent this time around. Martial's now obviously got one season under his belt. He got 9 goals last season. I think he'll get far more this season. And of course they're only in the Europa League, and if it's anything to go by when Mourinho was in charge, I'm not entirely sure that when he was in charge of Chelsea. Sorry, I'm not entirely sure that they'll take that too seriously either.
No.
So I actually think that Mourinho will make the Premier League his priority, and I fancy them to finish above Man City in the head-to-head market.
That's a cool.
So in the head-to-head market there, obviously a better price than Man City in the head-to-head market, because Man City have been made favourites. So I would go against the market there and back Man United to finish above Man City.
How have they been in pre-season? They haven't been that good, have they?
They haven't been that good, no, absolutely. Well, they were supposed to play Man City, weren't they, in China? That match was called off.
Yeah.
But pre-season games are hard to judge
Exactly.
a whole season by. But that's my bet there for Man United. Moving on to Arsenal, of course, the price difference between Arsenal and Man City is pretty mad. I think 6-1. So that shows how much the two Manchester sides are fancied this season by the bookies. 6-1, third best team according to the bookies, but they're 6-1. So that's alarming if you're an Arsenal fan. They finished second last season and only won less games than Premier League winners Leicester last season. So there is actually an argument that they don't need to have a revolution in their squad, just evolution.
Yeah.
And they have signed Granit Xhaka, who I think is a really good signing for them. It can be a deep line playmaker for them. He should be a real star on the team, but still the fans want a marquee striker. Giroud has still got plenty of question marks about him.
Great hair though.
Great hair, really good looking man.
Superb.
However, my advice, if you're going to back Arsenal to win the league at 6-1, my advice would be to use the exchanges and to do a back tele, because they tend to always do really well up until around Christmas, February time, and then fall away.
Yeah.
Normally around the same time that they get knocked out of the Champions League as well, and then by the end of the season there's nothing to play for and the fans get really angry. So I would actually back them now, and then use the exchanges to a layoff if they're still in that kind of first, second, third spots, because they will be a smaller price than 6-1.
That's a good shout.
So that's my bet there. Moving on to fourth favourites, which is kind of crazy because they finished in the bottom half last season, is Chelsea. Antonio Conte, another massive addition to the Premier League. The managerial sidelines is going to be absolutely brilliant this season in the Premier League, isn't it?
Yeah.
I can't wait for it. His emotional ways on the sidelines, especially in matches against the likes of Jurgen Klopp and Jose Mourinho, it's going to be really, really good.
It's going to be a boxing match.
And Abramovich has already backed him with the signings of the impressive N'Golo Kante, who was just brilliant in the Premier League and also had a really good Euros as well, I felt. And they also signed Michi Batshuayi from Marseille. Decent signing. It scored in the Euros, obviously, minutes after coming off the bench. Sorry, they didn't finish in the bottom half. They actually finished 10th. I do apologise, Chelsea fans. You were really good last season.
Still in the office is absolutely steaming at that. I can see him just looking at you.
And another team, of course, that have no European football. And that's going to be a huge plus for them because they've only got one real goal this season, and that's to win the Premier League, other than the domestic cups. However, I think that's a really decent reason to actually back them in the top four market. Obviously, it's going to be really hard to get into that top four this season with so many teams vying for it. But I think that the fact that they're only concentrating on the Premier League this season is a decent reason to back them to finish in that top four. And they're available 8-13, fairly short price. But I just think that they're going to have they've already got the squad. They've proven that from 2 seasons ago. And they've already signed the likes of Kante and Batshuayi. It looks as though they're going to sign Koulibaly from Napoli as well, so that will improve their defence.
Yeah.
So top four finish looks likely, in my opinion, and a price of 8-13 isn't terrible.
No, that's actually a pretty good price if you consider what price they would have been last year.
Absolutely.
The top four. They've been much shorter than that. I actually quite fancy them to win the league.
Yeah, and the best price of that is 13-2.
Italy style.
Italy
They're going to Italy style win the league.
Next up is Tottenham. Obviously had an amazing season last season for their fans, but still managed to finish behind their local rivals Arsenal in pretty embarrassing fashion when they lost to a 9-man already relegated Newcastle 5-1 on the final day. Absolutely crazy.
So bad.
Absolutely crazy. Pochettino guided them to great heights last season. Obviously, they're more than used to playing lots of European football alongside their domestic duties, and that won't change this season because rather than playing Europa League football as they seem to always do, they've actually moved into the Champions League thanks to their decent season. Obviously, they have to do their qualifier, but you'd expect them to get through on that. And even if they don't get through on that, they'll go into the Europa League anyway. So they will be playing European football. They had the best goals conceded record last season, meaning that only they and Leicester let in the least amount of goals last season. And they've signed Victor Wanyama, which should help shore up that back line even more, because basically what he does is go around running about and kicking people. stopping them from scoring goals.
I was watching them in the friendly the other day, and I just turned it on. Very first thing I saw was Wanyama do a ridiculous over the top tackle.
That's what he does.
Yeah.
And also they've signed the likes of Vincent Janssen, which should help the creativity of the team and help the likes of Harry Kane because he's often down to him to score the goals.
Who does he think he is?
And I see another decent campaign from them, but my bet for them would be just to lay them at 9-1. I just can't see them winning the league at all. They're a decent team, obviously, Tottenham, but I just don't see them as league winners at all. And 9-1 is actually a pretty poor price, in my opinion.
I think they might struggle at the start of the season with Dele Alli and Kane. They might have their heads down a little bit. They're going to get booed, I think, as well, probably by opposition fans, away fans. I honestly do think. I think all these England players will get booed.
Yeah, that is true. So moving on to Liverpool, who are also the same price, 9-1. The first time that Jurgen Klopp gets a pre-season with Liverpool, and that's a real key. I always feel it's quite hard for a manager to join kind of halfway through because it's not really his team at that point. Whereas in pre-season you get to go on your tour and make it your team, really put your stamp on the squad. And I think that they will surprise you this season. I'm going to be backing them at 1-2 to finish in the top 6. I think that's a really good price, 1-2.
Mm-hmm.
Yet again, they've got no European competition to exert themselves in, so they're going to be primarily looking at the Premier League as well as the domestic cups. So I think top 6 finish for them at 1-2, really decent price. Of course, Liverpool did so well under Brendan Rodgers when they finished second, and that season they had no European competition, and for the exact same reason I think they're going to have a decent season under Klopp, and they've made some decent signings. So I think 1-2 in the top 6 is a decent price for them.
The top 4 is so competitive, isn't it? This year, probably more than I could ever remember it being.
Absolutely.
I never remember it being this competitive before. It used to just be standard United, Chelsea, City, Arsenal.
Yeah.
Now it's like Liverpool, real chance. Tottenham, massive chance as well. Always going to be good.
It's going to be really good. Next up are the champions. I can't believe I'm saying this, but the champions, Leicester City. Big odds for sure. They're 33-1 to retain their crown. But nothing compared to the absolutely insane 5,000-1 winning odds from last season. Leicester have lost their linchpin, N'Golo Kante, and that is a crying shame for this exciting Leicester team. He was a real cog in the reason why they actually did so well. He was just unbelievable last season. They've also got Champions League football to contend with. It looks a difficult task to replicate the unthinkable from last season. The Foxes won by a 10-point gap last season, lost just 3 games out of 38, so to discount their title challenge would be ridiculous. But I just have Leicester down as a no-bet for me, just because they're such an unpredictable outfit anyway. Plus you've got to add in their European expedition for this season as well. I just don't quite know how they're going to go this season.
And Mahrez.
And there's obviously talk that Mahrez is off to Arsenal, or Chelsea even. So for me, they're a no bet until you kind of get into the season nitty gritty. I did look at their price to win the Champions League, and they are. I don't know if this is good odds or not. 100-1. Is it a good price? I'm not sure.
Are they the lowest? Are they the rank outsiders of the whole thing?
Not of the whole thing, but of the English.
Oh yeah.
Contingent, of course. Yeah. Leicester fans may fancy putting that on, as plenty of them put £1 or £2 on at 5,000-1, and it came in. And I'm sure that Leicester fans may think this may be our last opportunity to play Champions League football. So why not stick a pound on that?
I bet you tons of Leicester fans are going to be backing Leicester to win the league this year. Well.
Possibly, yeah.
The book is going to be absolutely
33-1 if you do fancy them, Foxes fans. Best price for West Ham up next is 100-1, so you can tell the huge difference now. So the bookies kind of see these top 7 teams ending with Leicester, and then up next in the bracket is West Ham at 100-1. It's a new era for West Ham, of course. They move into the Olympic Stadium for the first time this season. We just sent a tweet out actually. Apparently, it could be called the Tesco Stadium, which will be absolutely excellent. Thus far, they've managed to hold on to their diamond Payet, who was absolutely excellent last season. Absolutely loved watching him play. Had a really good Euros. If they managed to hold on to him, that's a real positive for them. Of course, they've also signed 4 decent players so far. So I expect them to have an even closer season up to the upper echelons of the league than last season, where they finished 7th, 19 points off Leicester. I will be backing them to finish in the top half at 9-20 at best price. that's my tip for them for this season. I'm not sure that they'll creep into the top 6 this season,
Okay.
but I'm almost certain that they'll finish in the top half at 9 to 20. They may have to play European football. Their first qualifier is today in Slovenia. If they get through that, they may have to toggle domestic affairs with European affairs, which will make it even harder for them, in my opinion. I think the Europa League can be a real grind. It's a long old competition, that, isn't it? So if they don't stay in it, then I expect that price to drop a little bit, actually. So get it now, 9 to 20 best price, top half finish.
That's a decent price.
Same price as West Ham is Everton, 100 to 1. Ronald Koeman jumped ship from Southampton to manage Everton. A bit of a surprise, in my opinion. But he has yet to really make a mark on the squad. 2 fairly low-key signings have done little to really excite the Everton fans so far, because there was talk of a war chest when he did sign on as manager. There was talk of there being plenty of money to spend, and they haven't really seen that, the Everton fans. And lo and behold, now it looks as though they're going to lose John Stones to Man City as well. So Everton fans have got every reason at the moment to be a little bit annoyed, I think. They finished outside the top 10 last season, and I fear that might happen again this season. I think a price of 12 to 5 for Everton to finish in the bottom half, just like they did last season, is a really good price. There's plenty of question marks around the Everton squad. Granted, Koeman's a really good manager, but I'm not entirely sure that he's done enough so far to really merit being top half finishers. So 12 to 5 to finish in the bottom half is my tip for them.
Yeah, Koeman, he did well Southampton, but Southampton just seem to do well now. So let's see how it goes at Everton. But his former team's up next.
Talking of Southampton, they're double the money of Everton. Saints fans, if you fancy putting a bet on you to win the Premier League, you're 200 to 1 best price. Saints have had the usual exodus of players and their manager. It seems to happen to them every season. But can they bounce back like they always do? Claude Puel is an unknown in the Premier League. His only previous experience at manager was in Ligue 1. Last season he was the Nice manager, where he was a key reason why Hatem Ben Arfa refound his form. So if you can manage a player as hard to manage as Ben Arfa and get the best out of him, then he must have some kind of magical powers, I think. Yeah, and possibly sign Balotelli. That would be a great shout. They also have the Europa League to deal with after finishing 6th last season. 6th finish last season is absolutely brilliant, isn't it? So there are plenty of question marks over them this year. There are 6 to 4 best price to finish in the bottom half if you fancy them to take their first backward step for a long time. There's a really good stat that I think it's since 2012 season they finished in a better place than they have done in the previous season, which is amazing. But I think that they might take a backward step this season, and 6 to 4 for them to finish the bottom half is a decent price, I think.
Yeah. Okay. So that's you're going against the trend there.
Absolutely.
Backward step 6 to 4. But if they sign Balotelli, 40 goal season.
I'm going to look up the price for that. Actually.
Yeah.
I'll tweet it out a bit later. Stoke up next, 1,000 to 1, a huge price, 1,000 to 1. Mark Hughes did an amazing job of reinventing the wheel at Stoke last season. When you say Stoke, immediately comes into your head is Pulis and Shawcross and Delap, and the way that they really asserted themselves to be a established Premier League club. Whilst it wasn't pretty to watch, they never got relegated since they got promoted back in, like, what was it, 2008? So they've been in the Premier League for absolutely ages, and it was a way of playing that teams found it hard to play against them, and it was working. Whereas Mark Hughes now has gone in there, done a real great job of reinventing them. They play a completely different style of football. They've got the likes of Bojan and Arnautovic, those sorts of players that really are really good to watch. And they actually finished a really respectable 9th last season. I think that's a really, really decent price. And they spent big last year, and they are yet to really sign any new players this season, probably because they spent so big last season with the likes of Shaqiri. And I think another mid-table finish is on the cards for the Potters. So I would look at the top half and bottom half prices there, and just go with where you think they're going to finish in the top half of the bottom half, personally. I'm not entirely sure. I think it can go one of either way, obviously. I'm not entirely sure about my best bet for Stoke, but it would be either the top half or the bottom half. I'll probably wait and see 5 or 6 games in for that one. Same price, 1,000 to 1. Crystal Palace. FA Cup finalists, of course, from last season.
Yes.
They were a disappointment in the Premier League, though. They were absolutely awful in the Premier League, weren't they?
Especially when they found out, like when they were getting it on the FA Cup run. They obviously didn't care at all about the Premier League. It was got relegated.
It was bizarre. They really did come close to relegation, but Pardew kept his job largely thanks to that cup run. They signed the likes of Steve Mandanda, James Tompkins, and Josh Townsend, whilst also getting rid of the likes of Marouane Chamakh and Emmanuel Adebayor, and I think that will do their dressing room all the good in the world, because those are professional type players that have come in, and the players that have left are sorts of players that are going to disrupt rather than help out the dressing room, in my opinion. And I fancy them to be more consistent this time around. I think that they've got a real chance of finishing in the top half, Jake.
Okay.
So that would be my bet there, to finish in the top half.
That's interesting. Yeah, so it'd be good if you could bet. I was thinking this. I don't know if you can do it anyway, but betting on a specific position to actually finish in the league. Yeah. If Stoke are just going to finish 10th or 11th. Yeah. That is just going to happen. So just put a bit of money on that.
I'm sure that you could request a bet with the likes of Sky Bet.
Yeah. Crystal Palace. We just want to see the dance again.
We just want to see the dance.
That's all we care about.
And next up are the first newbies in the league. It's Middlesbrough, also at 1,000 to 1. After years of Championship football, Middlesbrough finally got promotion to the Premier League last season, and they've wasted no time in spending plenty of money to improve their squad. They've signed no less than 8 new players, including the big name signing of Victor Valdez. I can see why they're the most fancied of the 3 promoted teams, and they are 8 to 5 for relegation. But I think that they will probably stay up this season. I fancy them to stay up, and they are in the stay up market at around 1 to 2. So I'd back that rather than backing them to be relegated at 8 to 5, Jake.
Yeah, they've spent a lot of money, haven't they? Like, they should really stay up, I think.
Yeah. Next up are the Welsh team, Swansea, 1,000 to 1. Francesco Guidolin came in last season, did really, really well for them, turned things around for them. For whatever reason, Gary Monk just lost his ability to manage after a previous season where he looked really, really well as a manager. They finished 12th in the end, which was a really decent finish for them, I thought, because I thought that they would be in the relegation mire for quite some time. I can't see them finishing in the top 10 this year, though, and I actually think that backing them to be relegated this season isn't a bad price. I'm going to back them to be relegated at a best price of 17 to 4. I think that's a really good price.
Sorry, Swansea fans.
But should you be in the Premier League anyway? Moving on to West Brom, 1,500 to 1. Tony Pulis did it again last season. They keep another team in the Premier League. He's never been relegated as manager still. It means that West Brom fans never get ideas above their station. But honestly, Jake, how fun can it be to be a Baggies fan at the moment? Oh. Just knowing that you'll just stay in the league, you'll have a few good wins against some of the better teams at home, and that's about it, really, isn't it? Yeah. Nonetheless, Matt Phillips is a good signing from QPR, and he will fit the hard-working mould of players that fill that squad at the Hawthorns, and I'm sure that they're going to stay up again, and odds of 2 to 5 there for them to stay up is my bet for West Brom.
Tony Pulis. Tony Pulis is not getting relegated, ever.
Absolutely.
He just isn't.
So back him in the stay-up market. Next up, Watford. Walter Marazzi is taking charge of Watford. Quique Sanchez-Flores leaves, which is a bit of a shame because he was a good character to have in the Premier League. The reason being that they weren't as fun to watch as the chairman wanted them to be coming into the season. I actually know a few Watford fans and they agree with that.
Okay.
But Mazzarri is a strange choice because the former Inter Milan boss, that was his former job. Inter Milan were real turgid under him.
Yeah.
So trying to make this squad more exciting is a bit of a strange one with that appointment, in my opinion. And I think odds of 9 to 4 on relegation really appeal there. I can see them being mid-table / lower mid-table. So 9 to 4 on them to be relegated actually looks a pretty decent price.
Did he leave, or was it mutual consent, or was it
for Inter Milan?
Oh no, for Watford.
Oh, yeah, he was pretty much fine, wasn't he? Yeah.
That's so harsh. He kept Watford up. They were really good for him.
And made the FA Cup semi-final.
Yeah.
But yeah, the style of play wasn't enough to keep him, so they've moved on to Mazzarri, which, as I say, strange appointment following his Inter Milan exploits, but that's the reason that I'm backing them 9 to 4 to be relegated.
Okay.
Next up is Bournemouth, 1,500 to 1. £15 million for Jordan Ibe. That's my opening line on them. That's a strange one.
He's a great player.
He's a good player. Obviously, as a Derby fan,
he was good for Derby.
You saw the absolute best of Jordan Ibe, but 15 million. Although in the current market, I don't know, is that the old 4 million? It was like
it's gone a bit weird, hasn't it? No one really knows what's going on anymore.
But yeah, Bournemouth fans must be scratching their heads a little bit because obviously it was only a few seasons ago that they were having buckets outside the ground to try and raise money for the club, and now they're spending 15 million on a player that scored one Premier League goal. But there you go. That aside, Eddie Howe is a progressive manager. Obviously, he has a style of play, and he signs players that fit that style of play, and they don't really have a plan B. But there's nothing wrong with that if it works. And the fact that they stayed up says that it works. And the Cherries were value last season. I'm not necessarily convinced they will stay up, but odds of 10-3 on relegation seem fair. However, my bet for them is to finish in the bottom half.
Okay, what price is that?
I'm actually unsure of the price of that.
Okay.
But the odds of 10-3 on relegation just seemed a fair price. So that's probably the bet that most people would do on them. So I wouldn't put anyone off that, but I personally aren't sure that they'll finish in the bottom three, but I'm certain they'll finish in the bottom half. Next up is Sunderland. They've got to try and follow Sam Allardyce, David Moyes, of course, which it was an obvious appointment, I think. He plays a similar kind of style of play to Big Sam did. Big Sam did an amazing job at keeping Sunderland up. I thought they were gone by around March, and he kept them up, and I'm sure that Sunderland fans will be delighted that in doing so they sent Newcastle down.
Every year, every single week. You could take that sound bit and just reproduce it every single year. Well, it looked like they were going down in March, and they just had absolutely no chance. And then suddenly, in the last 10 games, they just got won every single game.
And David Moyes, of course, back in the Premier League. His job at Real Sociedad, he did a fairly decent job. He did what was pretty much expected of him. Didn't really push forward to like Europe or anything, but he kept them pretty much safe and sorry. And obviously at Man United, he was a bit of a blowout. But Everton, he really stabilised Everton at a time where they really needed it, and I think that's what Sunderland need now. And if he does, and if he applies what he did for Everton to Sunderland, I can see them staying up, no problem. So for me, I would back them in any of the stay up market or in the bottom half finish market. But I don't see them going down. And now we're down to the final two, which are the two promoted teams, Hull and Burnley. Hull are back in the Premier League after 1 year hiatus. They won in the playoffs, of course, against Sheffield Wednesday. But I think that they'll likely be relegated again. They've made no real headway in the transfer market. I think they've only got 13 fit players thanks to injuries. And of course they've got no manager. So they're probably the least prepared to start the season than any of the other 19 teams.
Some of their key players are injured as well, haven't they? Because Jay Livermore, Tom Huddlestone, they're all gone. 13 fit first team players. So unless they have a absolute splurge in August and bring in some new players, I can only see them going down personally. Whereas Burnley, I've really got a soft spot for Burnley. I think they do things the absolutely right way. That they must have absolutely brilliant finances right now because they were in the Premier League last season. 2 seasons ago, they went down. So got the parachute payments last season, and then they're back in with the biggest ever TV deal. So, and they've only really invested in Andre Gray for big money, which is around 7-8 million. Everyone else that they sign is kind of 1 million, 2 million, 3 million. So and they sold Shackle to Derby.
Yeah, absolutely. So their finances must be amazing, and hopefully for Burnley fans, that's reinvested in the team and also in the stadium and the training ground to improve the club. They've lost the Marmite figure of Joey Barton, of course, which is a shame for Premier League watchers because he's just always value, isn't he? He'll always do something which is viral, which is helpful for us on our social media channels. And I just think they're going to be a really tough team to play against, specifically in a Turf Moor. Of course, they went down straight away in the Premier League last time. Danny Ings did his best with a few goals here and there, which got him his move to Liverpool. I can see possibly Danny Ings going back to Burnley in the transfer market, whether it be by loan or in a permanent transfer. because I can't see him playing too much at Liverpool. And that would be a decent signing for them. That if they had Vokes, Andre Gray, and Danny Ings as their 3 choice strikers, that's not bad at all. And I just can see them slightly just holding fort here and staying up, Jake. Their odds against in the to stay up market, one of the only 2 teams along with Hull that are odds against. So I fancy them in the to stay up market for Burnley.
And that's that.
And that's that. That's
Every
all 20 teams in just over half an hour.
Very good.
So well done if you made it to the end. Thanks for watching all the way through. My name is Ross Casey. This is Jake Johns. Don't forget to subscribe to the Easy Odds channel, where I will be giving my weekly Premier League tips, as well as Jake will be giving his anti-post tip on the Thursday for the big race on a Saturday moving forward. And of course, if you want to get the best prices, head to easyodds.com or download the app or the Android version. So thanks very much for watching. I'm Ross Casey, this is Jake Johns, and we are easyodds.com.